Hi, I'm Sally Thibault, author of David's Gift. Since the release of the book, I've received many emails from families asking specific questions about issues relating to Asperger's. And I thought the best person to answer many of those questions would be the subject of the book himself. So I'd like to introduce you now to my son David.
Hi, how you going?
David, lots of people ask me about what life is like for you now. So you want to tell people a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I'm currently studying in my final year at university. I am studying film and television. I am hoping to get somewhere in the post-production area of things, mainly editing or sound. I'm also, in terms of interests, I like keeping track of what's going on in the world at the moment. Like daylight savings. We're currently talking about bringing daylight savings into our stand-up and pretty vocal about that. I also like playing video games from time to time when I've got nothing to do. So yeah,
you're pretty vocal on Twitter too.
Yes, pretty vocal.
Pretty good following on Twitter.
Yeah, I'd probably say that.
Okay, David, one of the questions I'm asked a lot about is how parents can help teachers understand what it's like to have a child in their class who's diagnosed with Asperger's. Can you give a few tips or some ideas of what you think?
Yes, absolutely I can. Well, one of the things that a child with Asperger's has when he's in the classroom is that if the teacher is constantly talking and it's just dragging on constantly, a kid with Asperger's will tend to lose focus and not really pay attention to what's going on. Especially if there's other things going on in the classroom at the time, like if there's posters on the wall or if there's something going on outside. But if you're going to try and teach a kid that has Asperger's, best to try and focus on what's going on then and there at the time. Like one of the things that a teacher usually does is usually asks people to follow up on with their textbooks. Like if there's certain aspects of what's going on in a textbook and you're trying to tell a child to focus on one certain thing. The problem with that is that there's so many other things that are in the textbook that might interest the kid, and they might flip over the pages and look to something that's interesting.
I remember when you were little, when you were younger, oftentimes people would assume that you'd understood something because you would nod your head.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just thinking as I'm asking this question, could sometimes you not even understand the question they were asking?
Yeah, you could probably say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually the case with just nodding your head is like, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I guess it could happen with pretty much anyone. But if you're just sitting there nodding your head and you're not really talking back, that's not helping. In order to really get focused on it, you need to have a sort of two-way communication, not just like, obviously there's a whole bunch of other kids in the classroom if you're talking about school, but best to constantly ask some of the kids what they think about it or ask them certain questions. We
were talking before about visual cues, and I was talking to you about how Temple Grandin talks about people with autism thinking in pictures. And you were saying something really interesting about using it as a visual.
Yes, absolutely. Now, with a visual reference point, it's usually a way of how a child would usually think in autism. Like if you were to be given a textbook and it just had constant words, it's kind of hard to kind of relate that knowledge into an image. This is where visual cues are really important, especially for teaching a kid with Asperger's. Now what I usually do is I would usually take a certain portion of what's written down and I would hop on the internet and I would get either an image or some sort of visual interview. Okay. Like interviews would be great. Like if you find them on the internet, they work really well.
So in terms of with teachers, it's very critical, I think, isn't it, for them to chunk information down for you, almost in a dot point kind of manner.
Yeah, well, one of the things I would probably suggest to teachers is, especially if you go like a textbook, one of the better ways to actually teach kids what you need to show them is to pretty much show one page at a time. If you're going to show them a whole textbook and expect them to follow, they're not going to follow. What you need to do is you need to even it out to show what you're showing at the time. Like give them different handouts from time to time. Don't just expect them just to follow it, because as I said, they'll lose focus.
So kind of using a whole lot of different visual cues. Yes. Using all the modalities, obviously, not just the written word, but you know, some kinesthetic stuff, some feeling kind of touching stuff maybe, you know, building models or...
Oh, I'm not really too sure about that, but imagery usually works the best
Okay.
in any sort of learning environment with a kid with Asperger's.
Okay. Now, as far as staying focused, I want to talk a little bit about that. You have a really heightened sound sensitivity, which is going to be great in your career because you pick up on sounds that no one else can hear. Did that cause a problem for you?
Yes, definitely.
At school?
Usually when there's something going on outside, like there's a certain things that are going on, like I can hear a chainsaw going on right now. You might be able to hear that. I'm not sure if you've picked up on it. Should we keep going?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Okay, well, so obviously, as I said, I heard that in the background. That's a key distraction right there. Like if there's something going on in the background, like if there's like construction work going on outside, or say...
And for many schools right now in Queensland, that's happening a lot.
Yes, that has happened a lot. Like if there's like something major that's going on outside that's causing a lot of noise, a kid with Asperger's will pick up on that and will tend to focus more on that rather than what's going on right then and there, as you just saw.
So that must affect you in some social circumstances then. If you were trying to listen like you and I just noticed then how your focus shifted when you heard something else. And then I was aware of making sure I'm not, you know, talking too much. But if I was trying to teach you something, that would be something I'd have to be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd have to be aware that you've lost focus now because there's some noise going outside. What would be a cue, do you think? Would it be something like I would say to you, David, can you hear something going on outside? Would that kind of help? Would that, you go, okay, yes, I can hear that, now I can get back to what I'm doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say that. Like, usually the best way to do it is to either wait until the noise dies down, although, like, just happened right now, or maybe just close up some of the windows or the doors, or just try and keep a two-way communication as we're doing right now.
Okay. So I'm helping you stay focused by
absolutely.
you listening to me, and I'm not using too many words.
No,
so I'm very aware that I can see your eyes kind of going back and forth. So still, that noise is still bothering you.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you this question then. What would you suggest to kids with Asperger's? If there's a noise going on, what would be a cue they could say to the teacher? Could they, you know, I'm saying, could you perhaps then go to the teacher and say, look, there's a noise outside bugging me?
Well, I guess one best ways you could probably try and do it is to try and ask a question that the teacher is talking about at the time. If there is a noise that it comes up straight away, just try and get yourself into focusing on it at the time. Like if you're just sitting there and you just go yeah okay, and something else happens, so oh okay, like that's going to happen. So you got to find a way to keep yourself focused.
Okay.
And now it might seem a little difficult. But even if it's just as simple as, I'm sorry, can you just clarify on that, or can you just say what that means? Just something simple as that can help.
David, it's been great. You've given me some great insights. Even now, I'm still learning things about you that I didn't really know, you know, when you were a little guy. If you have any questions you'd like to ask David, please drop me an email, sally@davidsgift.com.au, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
See ya.